The other requirement that you will be finding while working with the logging is to change the typical format. So this is not the typical format that we wish to work when we are working on the verification of a duty. Instead, we need to see the severity of a message, that is the level is required. The next thing should be component whose values are printed, followed by the values and then the time at which the values are sampled. This is the second scenario that we'll be handling, how we change the basic configuration of a login. So to do this, we proceed like this. Login dot we have a basic config method which accepts series of an argument. One of an argument is the format which is used to format message that is display on a console. Let us add single quote and specify the things that we want, right? So if you go to the reference manual of a Python, you could see these are the series of things that we could add in a format. The first thing that we want to see is the level name. So to print the level name, we need to add this inside our format. So we copy this, go ahead and we add levelman. This is mandatory to recognize the severity of the message. Then we add a colon, then the name of our class. So let us just add a fixed name right now. And as we progress building a verification environment, there we will be adding a variable string in the place of a tag. Then we need to print the values of a level that represent our message itself. So we go ahead again to a reference manual and then we have a message. To include a message, we need to add this. We proceed and add this, right? So once our message is finished, we also need to display the time at which the values are sampled. So to do that, we again have a millisecond. Let us just use this and add it in the format. So with this modification, now we'll be able to format our message in this way, where first we see the level of the message, whether it is info, debug, or a warning. Other two levels are error and critical. Then name of a component whose data is displayed on a console, then the data itself. Finally, we have a time at which we sample the data. Now let us just copy this and add it over here. Now after changing the format, if we try to execute the code, you could now see the level of a message, the component whose data is printed, the data itself, and the time. So between the time we could actually add at the rate, and at the end we could display the unit of a time, which is millisecond. Now if we try to execute the code, you could actually see we have a level of a message, the component whose data is printed, the message itself, and then the time at which we have sampled this data. Here we have not printed any value of a variable. Let us try to add few variables and try to use the login with them. So A again have the value of 3, B have a value of 4, and the result of addition will be 7. Now we will be utilizing info to display the value of all of this. So login.info, values of A. We print the value in a decimal format. Now we do have different format specifiers. We will be understanding them as we progress further. Then we have a B with whose value will again be printing in a decimal format. The last one is Y, whose value will again be printing in a decimal format. Then we proceed and specify the source of a value. For A, it is A. Then we have a B, and last one is Y. So with this modification, if we try to execute the code, we get what we frequently required in our verification environment. So this is much precise as compared to a print. We see the type of a message, the type of a component whose data is printed, then the values of a variable, and we also get the time at which we sample this data. This is much more precise, easy to configure as compared to a print. Now, if you want to modify the format, if you go to the, again, a reference manual, you could see different formats specify that could be used with a login. So these are the different format specifier values that we have, which could be used with a login. So far, we have used D, which is used to print signed integer decimal. If we want to print an octal value, we just need to specify the format specifier as O. So if we proceed and replace D with the O, we'll be able to see the values in an octal format. So if we just try to execute the code, these are the values in an octal format. We also have a facility to print the values in an hexadecimal format. Then we have a floating point format and so on and so forth. For printing the binary value, we do not see any format specifier over here, but we do have inbuilt method to do this. Let us just proceed and use the same keyword as t. And to convert our integer value to binary, we could just call a bin method, right? So this will automatically convert our integer value to a binary value, which could then be printed on bean method, which could be used to print the value in an binary format. Since this return a string, we need to use s for a string, and then we could execute the function. Now you could see we have values in a binary format. So these are the specific requirements that you'll be finding when we wish to work on a data. We do have another method. As and when we require, we will be understanding them in a detail. This is the second scenario where we have varied the basic configuration of our logging. The